Okay, now let's take a look at our register method, and we'll go back to VS Code and our account controller, and we're going to make this controller even busier. We're going to add something else into our constructor so that we can use the email sender class that we created. So what we'll do is we'll say email sender, and we'll just call it email sender, and we'll need to bring this in from infrastructure email, and then I'm going to initialize the field from parameter and watch VS Code put this into the wrong place so that I then have to cut it and put it into the right place, and then try and reformat and reshuffle things inside here. Okay, so now we have access to the email sender. What we'll do is we'll head down to our register method. And what we want to do is we want to remove the creation of the user object. We're not going to send the token back when they register anymore. We're going to want to send them an email and tell them that, sure, their registration was successful, but they need to verify that they own the email address that they've registered with. So what we'll do, we'll remove this code. And instead of having a succeeded check here, we'll say if results.succeeded, as in we didn't save our user to the database, then we're going to return a bad request at this stage and say problem registering user. And if the result was successful, well, now we need to create the email. So we need to know where our registration request came from, and we need to create a link that they can click on that's going to take them to an area of our client-side application. And what we can do is we can get the origin of where the request come from one of the request headers. So we'll say request var origin equals request.headers, then square brackets, and we want to get the origin in this case. What we then need to do is generate a token, and we can get this from our user manager. So what we'll do is we'll say var token equals await, and we'll say user manager, and we can say generate, and we've got a bunch of different tokens that we can generate here. And what we're looking for is the email confirmation token async. So we'll use this, and then we pass in our user object. Now this token is going to be stored in our database, and when a user attempts to use that token to verify their email address, then our user manager will be able to use that and compare against the token that's stored in the database. But because we're going to be sending this as HTML, then we're going to need to encode this token so that it doesn't get modified on its way down to the client. So what we'll do is say token equals web encoders, and we'll need to bring in Microsoft ASP.NET Core Web Utilities, and then we'll say period base64 URL encode, and then we're going to say encoding and bring in system.text, and then say .utf8, and then say get bytes, and we'll pass in a token. You'll have problems if you don't do this. If you do not encode the token on the way out and decode it on the way back, then it will come in a modified format and it won't match what you're stored in your database. So then what we'll do is we'll create a URL of where we want the user to go when they click on the link that's sent inside the message. So we'll say var verify URL equals, and then we'll say $ to create a template string, and in quotes we'll specify origin, and then /account /verify email, and then add question mark, and we're going to pass our token as a query string. So we'll say token, and then ampersand, and then email, and in curly brackets we'll say user.email. And be careful here, obviously, we're dealing with strings when we're doing this, and there's ample opportunity to make typos and make mistakes here. So first troubleshooting step, if something doesn't work as you expect it to, is come back and check every string that we've used inside here is accurate. So what we'll do then is we'll create a message, and we'll say $, and then inside here we've got the horrible task of creating HTML inside a plain string. I don't like doing this, but it is what it is. And what we'll do is we'll create a paragraph inside here, and then we'll say, please click the below link to verify your email address, colon. And then after the closing paragraph, we're going to add a new paragraph and add the closing paragraph. And then inside here, we're going to add an A tag, and we'll create at the same time its closing A tag, just so that we don't go wrong, and specify the closing tag after this. And then inside the A tag, so we need to be inside the A tag's angle bracket here, we'll say href equals, and then single quotes, and inside the href, we're going to pass our verify URL. And then inside the A tag, we're going to say click to verify email. So like I say, be careful with this. It's pretty horrible typing HTML inside a string. You don't get any IntelliSense, you don't get any type safety. It's super easy to make mistakes and put your link outside of an href, and you're not going to be told if there's a problem. So be as accurate as you possibly can be with this, and make sure you've got, especially this part where we're actually generating the link, make sure this is accurate. It's very easy to make typos at this point, so do please double check if you have a problem. And then what we can do is say await email sender, and we'll say send email async, and we'll say user.email, and then we'll say please verify email as the email subject, and then we'll pass in the message. And then we can say return OK, and we'll say registration success, please verify email. So some nasty, horrible code to use in this particular method, so be careful. And what we'll take a look at next is adding another 2 endpoints to actually verify the email and resend the confirmation link if they need it.